Hello Internet. I recently acquired a Silver Reed SK10 knitting machine, and today I'm going to take it apart and clean all the needles, clean all of its internals, and put it back together again. The first thing I did was take out the needle retaining bar. It ran across the length of the whole machine. It's now sitting somewhere out of frame. It was a push down and then pull out action for this machine, and now that the needle retaining bar is out, I can remove the needles. The instruction manual says to pull the needle to the front and push down on the head of the needle so the end pops out, and then slide the needle back. Then you can just pull it out of the needle bed. I found it was also feasible to slide 3 forward at a time and lever out 3 at a time and push them all back and then pull them out all at once. I'm soaking my needles in I think 91% isopropyl alcohol from like Rite Aid or CVS, and just pulling them out and wiping them off and scrubbing a little bit, trying my best to not bend the needles and just get everything off. And this was a relatively clean needle, but as you can see, it's definitely got stuff on it, just old oil, grease, thread, dust, I don't know, little bits of fuzz. And the difference is very subtle in terms of appearances. I mean, the needle looks clean. It looked fairly clean before, honestly, but now it's a little shiny. It's smooth to the touch, which I don't think makes a huge difference for machine knitting because the main action is this way instead of like on the actual needle, but it's cleaner now. Okay, so I've got all the needles out of my needle bed, and I want to remove the case from the needle bed so I can clean underneath. It might be hard to tell in this video, but there's a ton of stuff under there. I don't know, it just looks kind of grimy, so I want to clean it. There are 4 screws. There's 2 here, and there's 2 on the other side of the knitting machine, and these need to come out. The other 2 over here, they look exactly the same, just on the other side. So those 4 screws, as well as these screws down here, this one and this one, they just need to come out. And then the bed should slide out of the case really easily. I only know this because I tried this before filming this video, so I know for a fact that it'll work, so I will just go and do that really quickly. Okay, so I got the screws, the 4 screws from the ends. These are those. I don't know if this is focusing well enough, but yeah, they're very short. Let me get the other ones. These are on the bottom of the case. Again, very short. These had washers on them because I think the metal case is fairly thin. And yeah, they all unscrewed really easily. They're a lot shorter than I thought they'd be, but you know, they do the job of holding the case on. It was easier to do the screws on the bottom first and then the ones on the sides. I feel like if I did them in the opposite order, I'd be like dealing with this sliding around as I tried to unscrew things. So this should just lift up and out, and it does. Yeah, they're totally separate now, and I can flip this over and get a closer look at all this gunk and I guess start cleaning it. Okay, now back to disassembly of the machine. I think I have to unscrew 4 screws per bracket on that side, and then that'll just leave the brackets attached here. This bar will be completely detached, and then I'll be able to remove this, hopefully, from the main bed so I can get an easier cleaning angle down here. And I think it should go back together very simply. Hopefully. I don't want to take this apart, I don't want to take this apart, but it looks like it's just brackets, and I can I can do brackets. I did notice that these aren't holes, they're more like rectangles, so the screws can slide. The gap between the machine, well, not the machine, but like this edge and this edge was about 3 millimeters. I assume that's very important because when I put this back on, since these aren't screw holes, they're going to slide around a little bit, and I should probably try and maintain the 3 millimeter gap all the way across. Otherwise, I don't know, that might cause issues. But yeah, this is going to get set aside, and I'm going to continue to take the machine apart. Okay, so it turns out when you take these two screws off, this just slides out, and these screws are going to fall out, but I didn't take these other two screws on the other side of the machine off. The angle actually between the glide bar and these screws made it so that the screwdriver couldn't go up and down. It was going to be something like this, which I didn't want to attempt, so I just decided to take these screws off on this side and see what happens, and yeah, they just slide out, which I guess is sort of self-evident by these grooves, but it wasn't clear to me until I just took the screws out. So I am going to continue to take all the screws out. This actually doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I think these actually hold it on, which is fine. I'll just leave those there. I don't know. I don't think I have a, wrench or whatever these things are removed with these bolts, and they don't come off by hand. And I think there's something gluing them down as well. There's this black thing here that might just be padding. I don't really know what this is for, but it might be some sort of adhesive, so maybe I'll just leave this on. Okay, so I got the machine back together. Its internals are cleaner than it was, maybe not pristine like new, but it's a far sight better than what it was a few hours ago. So I need to put all the needles back in the needle bed, and then I need to oil the glide bar and the needle heels, and I'll do that by just putting a little bit of oil on each of the needle heels and running the carriage over a couple times, and that'll oil the internals of the carriage. And then everything should be good to go. So to put a needle back in, you just take your needle and you want to put the end of it underneath your case. If you've got a case like this, you don't want to put it up like this at an angle, because otherwise the angle's too steep for the needle to go in. So you want to keep the needle down here, and you will stick the head into the slot, pull it all the way forward, let it fall down, and then push it back.